Hello and welcome to episode 82 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all things Nintendo. My name is Kevin, and with me this week in Nintendo Land to talk about Mario Golf, Glover, and the Plucky Squire is Harrison.
Hey, sounds good. It's like an N64 today. Or actually no,
Yeah.
Plucky Squire. Plucky Squire is never mind. But
Well,
you
it's,
but you know.
yeah, it's
You
got that
know you know what
Nintendo
I
charm, even though it's not a Nintendo game.
you know what I meant.
How's your
So
week been?
yeah, it's been busy. I Summer is my busy time and I'm in a transition period. My transition period is like I do real work for, 2 or 3 hours a day of like teaching, and then I spend the rest of the day, the rest of the 7, 8, 9, 10 hours um emailing and Zoom calls and just a lot of things. And I just forgot how exhausting it all is because I'm not like out here looking for a full-time job, but like I forgot how hard it is to be like working while you're looking for a job also and just trying to coordinate like 20 different things.
Yeah.
Um it's impossible to keep it in your mind, so you write it all down and you're getting this email and that email. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is I haven't been playing that much, but this week I taught a few video game classes. We didn't do any like playing or anything, but I'm doing some classes based around video games now for kids with neurodivergency. Just um a variety of a variety of special needs. And it's something that I've not made up myself. It's something that I've seen others do in the education or online education space.
Did you introduce it in
And
your area, or was it something that was planned?
no, it's been a lot of work, and um I've been doing online work for over 5 years. So it's taken time to just write out the course and market the course correctly. And it's mostly students that are not in my country. But it could turn into something that I do locally because there's starting to be a lot of actual Minecraft classes, which is basically what this class turned out to be. It starts out as, come talk about your favorite video game, but it's always Minecraft. So,
Best-selling game of
um
all time, apparently.
best-selling game on Switch apparently.
Is it?
I think so. If I'm
More than the
wrong,
70 million copies of Mario Kart 8? I mean, I know like altogether Minecraft has sold like something like 300 million in sales. It's ridiculous, but uh I don't know if they're including all that or just the Switch version.
per- perhaps okay, perhaps it's the highest selling, not should I say third party? I'll say
Yeah.
perhaps it's the highest selling third party because it is like it does sell more games consistently than Mario Kart 8. I don't know how accurate
I
Nintendo's.
think that's for the same reason that the Switch system itself has sold so many. We already talked about a big contributor to the Switch system is the fact that households buy multiple Switches. Like it's not like a PlayStation where you buy one PlayStation 5 for the house. Houses will buy like a Switch for each kid. Um, Same thing here is I feel like Minecraft is something where I know I've bought Minecraft on like five different systems. So like it's another thing where people are buying it multiple times.
I think, yeah, I think if you have kids, the Switch is like I mean, it's like a no brainer if you want to play games and have kids, especially if you don't mind. I mean, I would always get system secondhand also, and um, newer secondhand. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, it's much better than if you have three kids and you're trying to get them all a 1,000 plus PC, which a lot of families do as well. So uh, I think it's one of the best cost effective options next to you know like having like home console. I guess would be like Xbox and Game Pass. If you want to go that route, but yeah, I think it's a great option. So basically, I've been kind of this summer. I've been kind of in a rut with my playing as well. Just because I've been so busy. Like like you ever like get off work and you sit down to play and you just like fall asleep, things like
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Especially
Yeah,
since I've been working third shift a lot lately, and as soon as I stop moving, I fall asleep.
yeah, and along with that, just sometimes sometimes I'm like wasn't having as much fun with my playing, and then that would be frustrating knowing that like I only have a little bit of time to play games, and like I feel like I'm there's a bigger discussion around gatekeeping. I think that I'll have some other time on this podcast because that is something when we talk about the therapy part of Nintendo therapy is something that I go through is not trying not to gatekeep the fun you're supposed to be having when you're playing games. Games are supposed to be, kick back, relax, just don't think about the other things and just have fun.
Yeah, and
But
then you have people who are like, "Well, if you're not playing on expert mode, you're not really playing, or if you put in less than 300 hours into this game, you didn't really play it." Like that type of stuff. It's like I don't get time for that, man.
yeah, but for me, like I'm not 100% on it, which is what I've realized lately. Like I'm not perfect in that way because I will try to find like, oh, like what about this map? What about this mod? What if I can make this game 2% better? Like, just and then time's up, right? And then there's no more time to play. So I'm trying to be better at that, just in general. And I gotta say that having just having projects, whether it's this podcast, whether it's having friends that play the same games as you, whether it's connecting with people that play the same games as you, or just having another hobby surrounding video games. A lot of people make YouTube videos, stream, do all of that. How about you? What in your real life connects you to gaming now?
Um, I don't really know. Just kind of like the whole concept behind starting this podcast, like you said, Nintendo therapy is it's just a way to escape. And especially right now in an election year when you no matter what you boot up, you turn on the TV, you turn on your social media, you turn on almost anything else, you're bombarded with a bunch of doomsday predictions and you want to escape all that. You're not going to see it in Mario Odyssey. so um so yeah, I mean, this week I went back to playing the original Luigi's Mansion because I want to do all three by Halloween. So that's a nice little escape, you know. You're not gonna really have to focus on modern day in a game from 20 years ago. And yeah, I don't know what really pushes me towards it other than every other reason people like playing video games is just the immersion factor and being able to go to another world for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you've gotten a lot of motivation from this because, like, it seems like you're doing a lot more writing with your gaming as well, which is something that I do. Um,
Well, I just like I like you said about it's almost the opposite of gatekeeping where I as an adult now, the older I get, the fewer people I have to actually talk to about these games that I love so much. So, starting the podcast was a great way to talk to people, and writing my thoughts down as I play is a great way to put them into a review. So, uh, can't wait to get my thoughts on Thousand Year Door organized. I have them all like bullet pointed right now, and throw that up as a review, just as a means of getting out there what I think of these things I've invested so much time into, what I think I got out of them.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I mean, for me, like just I've done a lot. I've been doing tons more writing when it comes to um, things that I'm playing, and also like with like playing Minecraft, I'm like I always have like a notebook next to me because like that's the only way I'm staying motivated is just to like continue to write down things that I want to do or I want to work on so that when I load up the game, um, I have that motivation right there. Uh, or I'm just like writing down like things that I observe in the game, and it's just helped me stay engaged a lot more. Again, this is all going towards a bigger project with you know working with students now. And I think it's pretty cool. Like I've always been very cautious. I think everyone should be very cautious of turning a hobby into a profession because you don't want to risk um, hating hating that hobby pretty much. Like you don't want to end up like hating your job and hating your hobby because of that, which is possible. But I think this is a good balance because it's it's more focused on the education and less of the gaming part. I'm more navigating conversations through these ideas. So so yeah. Kevin, what's new this week? What are we talking about this week?
Well, I guess you could call our top story something that I was really surprised by when the news dropped was I've been looking forward to this game, the Plucky Squire, for a long time. If people haven't seen the trailer that was put out for it, it's kind of got like like a storybook, almost Paper Mario feel at certain points, and then you come out of the book and like walk around the room almost like Pikmin. So I'm thinking very specifically of the stage in Pikmin 4 where you're inside the house. So it's like a Zelda like game too. It's a Squire. He's got a sword and you got sword battles there. It just looks like a really innovative, like it's like a lot of things but completely original from what it looks like so far. I'm really looking forward to it. And this week, out of nowhere, after having like not even like an estimate for when this thing was going to be released, so I did not expect a release date. Um, Out of nowhere, they announced that it's going to be releasing on pretty much everything on September 17th. And I thought that was a little strange because it's releasing really close to Echoes of Wisdom. So to go from having not even a clue if this was coming out this year to to knowing it's coming out just like a week before a game that it seems very similar to was kind of weird to me.
It's all systems. It's coming out on everything.
Yeah.
I so they had the date in place and they found out about Zelda and it's like it is what it is. It's the last year of the system. Because yeah, it comes out on Steam and also on does it come out on all consoles as well? I think
It's
so.
coming out on PlayStation 5 for sure. Let me take a look at the article here. It said it in the article. It's coming out on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and Switch.
Yeah. So it's on everything.
Hmm.
This. this is the this it's not accurate, but I thought of it as the Toy Story game
That's a good way to
because
look at it too. Like, see, it's like a lot of things. That's what I was saying. It's like a lot of different ideas, but while still being uniquely its own thing.
and I'm and you understand what I'm saying, but I'm saying that obviously because of the like the bedroom setting. Because you go into the 2D environment, which is more I want to say like Cuphead, where it's more cartoonish and animated. But the 3D overworld in I guess where there's a bedroom is more digital, more Unreal Engine. It's extremely bright. Like the I want to know if on Switch they're going to like flatten any of this out because this looks like graphically this looks like an extremely difficult, extremely bright game. But it could look good on the Switch OLED though.
It looks a lot like, I don't know if you've heard of a game called Sword of Ditto, or is it Swords of Ditto? Swords of Ditto. Um, it's got a very similar art style to that.
I'm very interested in what the combat's going to look like here. Like I want to know if it's going to be more of a beat 'em up. Again, like could it be similar to Cuphead, or is the combat going to be different depending on which environment you're? So it almost looks like it's it's like two different games and like five different genres because does it remind you of a specific Zelda game?
No, it's almost like I said. When you come out of the storybook, it almost reminds me more of Pikmin. So it's just like it's hard to describe this thing, which I hope doesn't hurt it because it looks like it's fun. Like I like all the ideas I'm seeing, and it's another one of those games where it looks like a almost like a work of art. The last time I remember trying to describe a game like this was when I always pronounce this wrong, but Nino Kuni, I think is the name of it. You know what game I'm talking about?
Right, Nino Kuni. Yeah,
Yeah, Nino Kuni. So I remember when that came out, having a hard time describing it to people because you had those real world elements, then you had that fantasy world that you go into, and it was a very unique experience. So you couldn't compare it to something and say like it's like this, and this is almost like the opposite, where it's like a bunch of different things. Like you almost make it sound less cool by saying, well, it's like Toy Story, but it's also like Paper Mario, but it's also like Zelda, but it's also like Pikmin. And at a certain point, someone's like, well, that sounds like too many ideas. But I mean, again, I haven't played it yet, but from the trailer, it looks like those ideas fit together perfectly.
I I hope it's less sad than Nino Kuni.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
like, I've never finished
I
Nino Kuni, and that's part of why is it does get kind of
I
depressing.
I never finished it either. On Switch it's gorgeous.
I usually get distracted by
It's
the bounty hunting side quests, and then I just never finish the story.
yeah. On Switch it's a beautiful game, and I'm sure the sequel to it's beautiful as well. But why do games always have to go there? Like especially like farming sims. They always gotta it's always gotta start off with somebody died. You know, it's always gotta start with that. Like why? Why can't it be like, hey, the grandpa is giving you the farm, and he'll come back sometimes. You know, like why is it? Anyways, you got me thinking about Nino Cooney. So there you go. I 100% want to play this game. I don't know if I'll play it on Switch. Um, but
Yeah, I
if
think
it's
I
not too
might go
expensive,
play.
I
I think
will.
I might do this one on my PlayStation 5, as apocryphal as that might be on this podcast. I have some PlayStation 5 the PlayStation Store points to use, and this is probably where they're going. I don't think they've listed the price yet. I wonder if this is a full
Yeah,
price game.
yeah. And for discretion to make it correct for listeners. Like, these games are just cheaper sometimes. Third-party games are just cheaper and run better sometimes on other consoles. But having games on Switch is awesome. I mean, I have multiple games on Switch that I have on PC for that reason. So it is what it is. And I also have a Steam Deck. So even with a Steam Deck, I'm still buying games on Switch. So um yeah, this game looks awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it has a price available yet. I've looked
So
on
we'll
a few
see.
different, yeah.
If it's a $40 game, I'm not getting it on Switch.
Okay.
If it's like $40, I have to, or I'll get it on sale. I'll say that I won't get it day one because I don't have enough time for like a $40 game with Zelda coming out the same day.
You'd think they would have pre-orders set up for a game that comes out in a month, but what do I know?
And Nintendo does that sometimes too, and well, it's usually the developer. Sometimes the developer is not hitting the button until the last minute.
Because now that I'm thinking of it, I mean, I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about Plucky Squire, but one thing that a thought that just occurred to me is a sudden release date like that could also be bad news. It could also be like, look, we're never going to fix this thing. Let's just put it out and get our money, get whatever money we can out of it. So, like, sometimes that's the reason for a surprise release date. So,
Yeah,
well,
it's not too sudden. I mean, it's 2024. I mean,
I'm just
they give us
saying
more than a month.
it's something that's been pointed to with failures in the past. You know, we've all read stories about games that were rushed out because, you know, we've talked on here about systems that were rushed out, like the 3D Virtual Boy, not 3DS, the Virtual Boy and the disc drive, where they were like, just get it out there so we can get some money back.
Totally fair.
Yeah, hopefully that's not
Totally fair.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally fair. I think a month is long enough because we do see games shadow drop. Even
That's
on
true.
Switch, we'll see games shadow drop, and I've fallen for it. Where it's like, oh, this game, I forgot about this game, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I forgot about this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, okay.
So the other story that I thought was interesting was Limited Run Games is doing a physical release on the Nintendo Switch and I think the PlayStation 5. Let me find confirmation on that while I talk. For classic Nintendo 64 game everybody remembers was a recent episode of Angry Video Game Nerd, Glover. Glover's coming to Switch and PlayStation 5. Yep. Doesn't say any other systems. It's an HD remake that will include 30 levels to explore. Um, I'm not sure how much more that is than the original. It's probably the same number. Um, yeah, these features are all just kind of describing the game. Okay. Yeah, it's Glover in HD. Didn't see that one coming either. And I'm also kind of disappointed because I'm not going to buy Glover in HD, but I was hoping it would come to the Nintendo 64, uh, not eShop. What am I talking about here? The Switch Online. I was hoping this would come to Switch Online. In fact, we listed it when we talked about the few top tier Nintendo 64 games they have left to upload to Switch Online. So it doesn't look like this one's coming, or if it does, it'll be after the sales of this die down.
Yeah. Did you have this game
I rented
when
it.
you were a kid?
The Nintendo 64 is like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like this. The last system I rented games for, and I rented a few things. We talked about renting Quest 64, and then oh no, I bought Quest 64. What did we? I don't know. There was something else we talked about on here that I rented, but yeah, Glover was a game that I rented back in the day. I remember it was in like every video game magazine constantly. Just like this was a game that had a huge advertising budget. like maybe more so, and it more so than it had for the budget of the game. And I know like this is like a half memory. I'm gonna get some facts wrong here. You know, we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. But I seem to remember something about the game actually sold well, but it was almost an ET situation where they produced way too many copies, and that it was supposed to get a sequel, and the sequel had begun like the planning stages, and basically because they printed too many copies of Glover, they lost a ton of money on it and never wound up making that sequel.
I did not know that. And I didn't know that Glover had a sequel that was almost finished.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm looking this up right
Glover,
now on the cutting room floor.
yeah,
While
yeah,
the
yeah,
game
yeah,
is
yeah. Yeah,
Oh
go ahead.
yeah, it was. It says while the game is incomplete, it is decently playable with a somewhat functional story. So yeah, they were pretty far into Glover too, uh, before the Glover mishap caught up with them.
And are you looking at the Jaws film poster of Glover 2?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's really funny. I never knew that. I was never a Glover fan. I'm sure I rented it. I had friends that had this game and remember playing it. Um, I mean, yeah, when you look at it, it just looks like a game um that had a huge had a huge budget. And now I'm looking up. This is like the deep dives that I usually go through um, before the recording. There is a, an indie studio, Golden Mushroom, that said back in 2018 that they were working on the Glover sequel, but in reality, all they did was apply for a trademark.
Hmm.
Like, so they just applied for a trademark and said they were working and said that they were working on it. And then like the only thing I see about this studio is just people in 2018 on Twitter being really mad about this fake studio. that's that's real interesting. But hey, way to go, limited run games. I mean, whatever limited run games is doing is working because like they're getting like Jurassic Park and like a lot of really big retro games.
I'm trying to find the story that I was talking about. I'm getting like vague clues about what I said, that Hasbro ordered too many copies of Glover made, but I can't find like the exact details. Glover was a fairly successful third-party game. It didn't experience a huge demand. Hasbro was left with 150,000 units as retailers didn't want any additional stock. Yeah, they basically overprinted too many copies of Glover, and that was like it sold well, but it didn't sell as much as they printed. All right, that's that. That's that story. That's all the details I have today. um,
And this is and outside of Steam and PC, this is the only port of Glover, which is crazy to think about. Like a game that popular that's not ported for 23 years is yeah, I never really thought about I don't think about this game. So never thought about it just being ported anywhere. I wonder what kind of merch they're gonna have. Are they gonna have a glove? Is limited run gonna give you a glove to wear?
yeah, you don't often see those Mickey Mouse gloves around. I'm sure cosplayers know where to find them.
Sure. Let us know, I guess. Um,
Did you want
I,
to talk about rumors?
I have some rumors for us. Um, sure. So, um, Christopher Dring, at Game Industry. I'm not sure if we've ever talked about him before. I don't think we have, but he said on the GI Microcast podcast that he has not talked to any developers that expect the Switch successor to be out during fiscal year 2024, which ends in March of 2025. And he also says in the same podcast that the developers have been told by Nintendo partners not to expect the Switch successor to be out this fiscal year. So kind of like a two things that go together. So I guess the game I wanted to play was called Legit Rumor or Educated Guess. So this is my first rumor. He says the Switch will not be out before March of 2025. Is this a legit rumor or is this just him making an educated guess? What do you think?
I think it's an educated guess, being that he said before March of 2025, because I think his exact wording was before the fiscal year or something like that, which ends in March 2025. And the strongest rumor for months now has been that the Switch 2 would release in March of 2025. So that technically wouldn't be before. So we know, if there's any delays, it will be after that. So it's pretty much an educated guess at this point.
I think so. And I think this also points to, and actually this also goes with the Game Rant link that I linked. So I'll credit Game Rant for this. They're thinking that there's been rumors that um, they might have a bigger window between the announcement of the system and the launch. Like there's a bigger launch window to make sure that when the system does release, there's not going to be shortages of hardware. That's
Hey, they
something
could take
that
it till
Nintendo,
Christmas of 2025 for me. I mean, I got a big backlog to catch up on. I'm fine.
yeah, yeah, and most people will be fine too outside of like investors. So I know that's where they're looking. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty confident in that though. I'm pretty confident that Nintendo will be better on making sure there's not a supply shortage compared to Nintendo of the past, compared to Microsoft and Sony, I'll say. Um, so I'm sure they're looking at that because they're looking at a big launch. They're probably looking at, a new Mario game to go along with the launch or something big, of course, some kind of big game. So, okay, you're saying educated guess, me too. My other rumor is not as big, but it includes PH Brazil, which we've talked about on here many times. I don't know if PH Brazil is a big deal in Brazil, but it seems to be a big deal on Twitter. So I'm talking about it. This is along with someone named Nash Weedle. He said that Assassin's Creed Shadows, Mirage, Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins are scheduled to get switched to Switch successor ports. Assassin's Creed Shadows will apparently be close to the launch of the Switch successor within the first 6 months, and Mirage, Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins will be a bundle. There's nothing saying that is that one bundle, is it two bundles? I don't know. And Shadows was confirmed by PH Brazil, which led me to bring it on this podcast because we've talked about he's been right on rumors we've talked about before. I am not an Ubisoft guy. I'm not an Assassin's Creed guy. 6 of the, I believe, 13 games are on Switch already, but it is also specific on the time it's being released. It's specific on it being a bundle. I don't know, Kevin. Legit rumor or educated guess?
Um, it's hard to tell. It seems very specific, so I'll go with legit rumor. It seems like there's a lot of details in this one.
You're not an Ubisoft guy, are you?
Not really, no. I haven't played any of the Assassin's Creeds or anything yet. It's on my to-do list, but not yet.
Yeah, I mean, I played Immortals Phoenix Rising, and I love that game. Um, Not as much as like a Zelda game, but it's great. Assassin's Creed never got into, and it's pretty like it's pretty overwhelming. It's like trying to get into like Final Fantasy or something. There's just so many of them.
Yeah,
So
that's mainly been my issue.
yeah, yeah. I'll go with legit rumor on this one. I'm sure the Switch successor is going to have all of the PS4 Assassin's Creed games. I'm sure those. I'm sure they're all coming. So
They're
okay,
all on,
we're
at
gonna,
least last time I checked, they're all on whatever PlayStation's version of what is it? Not PlayStation Online, but the thing where you subscribe and you get games. They're like all on there. So seems like they are just trying to get these games in everybody's hands they can.
yes, I think so too. So we're we're in agreement. Those are my rumors for this week. Um, what time are we at? 40 minutes? Less 38 minutes, I guess. Yeah. I I have a hot take for us if we want something fun.
Yeah, bring it on.
Okay. We'll
Hot
try like
potato.
5 minutes of this.
Okay.
All right. Now I don't know if I don't know if I really believe this, but I gotta practice my podcasting, and the, there's just not a lot of news this week. This is all I have for us. So here you go, listeners. All right. 5 reasons why the Switch successor should be or will be similar to the Nintendo 3DS. All right, here we go. Number one, Nintendo can't resist um, just being different. They got to do something different with the new system. Is it going to work? I don't know. But even though they were so successful with the Switch, they're looking at it and they're thinking, what is going to make us innovative? Oh, I know. Let's add another screen. Okay, that's my first one. And Kevin, you can cut me off at any time. Uh, Whatever you have. Number two, um, the landscape of the landscape of video gaming has changed a lot. And what does Nintendo take to stand out um, in the next system? For example, along with having the Steam Decks, the Rogue Allies, all of those hybrid systems now, is an example like the A&O Flip. And the A&O Flip is a dual screen emulation device, offers something that's pretty sleek when you're trying to play games that also have a dual screen.
Yeah, you
Okay.
keep bringing up the
So,
dual screen point, and I agree. That's something I really, really hope the next system has. We've seen no specific evidence outside that patent. Like no developer has hinted towards it in the rumors section or anything. But I really hope we get that dual screen because not only, um, I'm not to step on your next point here, but not only does it make DS and 3DS re-releases easier, like we could finally get a re-release of Link Between Worlds, you know? Um but also Wii U games. Like there's still stuff like I mean everyone keeps hammering them about wanting Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD. This would be a way for them to just bring the HD version they already made for the Wii U over and have the dual screen set up exactly the way it is. Because I gotta say, I've played that. I played the Wind Waker HD version recently, having that second screen is a huge help in the dungeons to just not have to go back and forth between your menu to check your map every 2 seconds. So it's like something literally as simple as putting a map on a second screen is a game changer. And it's something I feel like this generation is missing from the Wii U generation. I really liked that advancement, and the DS always had it as well. So yeah, I don't know. I really hope it does have two screens. But
So Kevin,
continue.
so
Yeah.
Kevin, you're saying Wind Waker is delayed because they're waiting for the dual screen. That's what you are saying. That's
I
what I
don't know
hear.
if it would be delayed or if or if they're saying, well, I guess this would count as a delay. If they're saying we will release this on the Switch 2 with the dual screens, could be. And
Hey,
then they might release a Switch version as well. Who knows? They could very well do that.
that's what I heard. That's that's what I heard you say. I heard you say it's better, and that's the reason why Zelda is being delayed. That's what I'm choosing to hear.
Okay, I like it.
Whether or not you're saying it. Whether or not you're saying it. I know that's what I'm choosing to hear.
It
So
is
exactly,
officially delayed. You heard it here first.
you've led me right into my next point. They have a patent that's ready to go, and a lot of time has passed since Gamescom last year, where apparently they initially showed off some new hardware. That's like the first time they initially showed it. There's been so much time that I would not be surprised if it had a dual screen and it wasn't shown off initially. Also, I think the price point could be there. I think they could do a dual screen and still make it a $400 system. 450 $400. I think they could do it and still have it be a dual screen system that also has a dock, that can also be used with Bluetooth when we're talking, if we're talking about using Joy Cons. Um, that can be my next point. If we're thinking about, like, we talked recently about the new Joy-Con charger and whether that means the next Switch is going to have compatible Joy-Cons. Hey, this could be a hybrid dual screen system, and they could still use Joy-Cons. They could connect, or they could just be used via Bluetooth. Also, I'm thinking that the dual screen would come off of the system as well. So the hybrid could be like, you could take the screen off and place it on your table, and then you could use the other part as like a Wii U controller. It's possible. That's
Yeah.
my idea. And then
Oh yeah,
last
I would
one,
like any version
yeah,
of that.
yeah. And then last one, which is the most obvious, and what you said already is that um, it's pretty obvious we're going to have DS and 3DS ports sooner than later. We're already getting them, I guess, and I mean we are already getting them, and it would offer a very easy, sleek solution to it. Um, I don't know if they could just update Luigi's Mansion 2 and just slap it on the Switch successor, but let's say yes. Um, so that's it. Do I want this? Yes. Do I believe all of this? I don't know. But I thought it would be fun to talk about.
Yeah, like we've got no details otherwise, so we can just wildly speculate about what this new system, what we want it to
Yeah.
be. So that'll be fun to look back on in a few years' time when we actually know what it is.
Yeah. It's podcasting. That's Podcasting is the name of the game, I guess. And if I don't speculate on here, if I don't throw out some crazy ideas sometimes, it wouldn't be right.
All right, let's talk about some Mario Golf games. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the Game Boy Color version was also on the service last week. So we're going to be talking about both this week. Mario Golf for the Nintendo 64. It came out in Japan June 11th, 1999, and came out July 26th, 99 in North America. So very close together. It was another game I rented. Like I said, Nintendo 64 was the last system I rented games for. And this was never a game I owned, but a game I very fondly remember renting repeatedly. This and Mario Tennis at the time, too, which we'll talk about at some point. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the Nintendo 64 version before we get to the Game Boy Color version?
Yeah, it kind of go with how close they are together. My nostalgia just goes completely together. Mario Golf N64 overall is, I think, a much better game. But when I look back, I was so locked into Mario Golf at the time because um, they had released two games of the same title, which were both outstanding in their own ways. And they had released them very, very close together.
Yeah, the Game Boy
Um,
one came out a month later, August 10th, 99.
well, it came out in Japan August 10th.
Oh, yeah, it was
Yes.
October in the United States. You're right.
October. So less than 3 months. Less
Yep.
than less than less than 3 months, which I mean, I just I can't imagine. I couldn't think of like an equivalent of something like that now, where it's less than 3 months. It's the same title. It's different systems. It's different. It's a whole different idea of a system, and they are very very different games. Both games took risks in their own ways and came out successfully. So, if you want my big picture, I've said before, Mario Golf N64 is just the best sports game, and I think one of the best games of this generation.
Wow.
So, so there you go. I think like it. Nintendo Sports is not a very competitive genre, in my opinion. But yeah, when it comes to games, this has to be one of the best games of the N64 generation. I just think it does. It's very important. It's a great multiplayer game, and something that I was really brought back to playing this week was just like around this time period, like 1999, like N64 era. Nintendo just they had figured out the correct amount of single player and multiplayer, and just making them both extremely fun.
Hmm.
Like they just had it locked in for the N64 era. And I've criticized N64 a lot, but I gotta say, in this generation, it it might be like the best generation of like just multiplayer social games.
Oh, for sure. Having
Yeah.
the four controllers was like mind blowing at the time. Like I remember getting that and just being like, man, I got to get three more controllers as soon as possible. Um, but you mentioned the game taking risks, and one thing I wanted to talk about, make sure we got in this podcast, was the fact that you don't start, at least in the Nintendo 64 version, with Mario as a playable character is like insane to me. Like that is brave. And it's not even the first unlockable character either. You have to go through multiple character unlocks before you get to standard Mario. I think baby Mario is before him. Um so it's a weird roster when you look at, there's a lot of strange choices because you got characters like Plum and Charlie who are just like regular people, and modern day I look at this and I'm like, the only reason you'd want to play as a normal person is if it was a customized character, which you have kind of in the Game Boy Color version, as much as you can customize a character on Game Boy. Um, but yeah, I just think that it was a really weird decision to not have Mario in the standard roster. You have to unlock him, and he's not even the first character you unlock.
Right, 14 playable characters. Although when you play tournament mode, you play against like 29 characters that you never see. You just hear about
Yeah,
it. You
like
just
they're
hear.
like the F-Zero cars that don't have any character names.
Yeah, you just hear about how good or bad they're doing in the tournament. Um, yeah, I found it a bit strange. Like I think that would be where I'm most critical on this game is that there's 14 characters. There's there's generic characters which are very similar to golf games of the past, although this is considered to be the first Mario Golf game of the series. Like NES Open Tournament is just a Nintendo Golf game, while this is a Mario Golf game. So like that's maybe the one thing I would change about it is that 14 is enough for me. That's fine. But just more fun characters, like even if the characters don't have arms, I don't care. Like, yeah,
Well,
just
let's go down the roster for the Nintendo 64 one while we're talking about it. You
yeah,
start off with Plum, Charlie, so two generic characters, Peach, and Baby Mario. And that's your only way to play as Mario from the start. You do these character matches where you basically play 18 holes against the character, and if you beat them in golf, you unlock them. And the order they go in is you have Luigi, so Luigi before Mario, Yoshi, Sonny, who is another generic just guy in a cowboy hat. Um, then you have Wario, Harry, who's a generic guy in a baseball hat. um, and then you finally get to Mario. He's the sixth character match. And then there's a few other characters you can unlock. A generic female character named Maple. If you collect 50 birdie badges. Donkey Kong, collect 30 stars and ring shots. Bowser is the final character match. And Metal Mario, if you collect 108 birdie badges.
yeah, yeah, and I for sure had Metal Mario in Mario Golf like back in the day.
I'm slowly working on unlocking all these on my Switch Online account. I've gotten, I think, as far as Harry. So oh no, I have Mario. Okay, so I got as far as Mario. So next up is Bowser.
Yeah, like give me Boo,
Yeah.
give me like some more cute characters that you would not think play golf.
It's just
Um,
interesting in
it's
a Mario, like imagine if Mario Party had these characters like five. It's not even, it's five characters are characters who we never saw before and will never see again and are just generic people. Like it's just such a weird choice. I understand maybe if they want to put one or two of them in, almost like the concept of like how you would have the Mii's, but before the Mii's exist, like just generic female and male characters. But um, yeah, it's weird that they have five characters in there, plus the ones you can import. We didn't even start talking about this yet. With the transfer pack, you could carry characters over from the Game Boy Color version into the Nintendo 64, and those characters were generic too.
Yeah, it's strange. It's for
There are 10,
sure
10 generic characters. Sorry.
Yeah, it's for sure the one thing I'm changing from this game. Because there's a lot of options where if they gave us a created player, I would have loved that. I still would now.
Hmm.
If it was just an all-star cast of characters, because like there are tons of Smash Brothers comparisons out there with this game. Just time period, sports game, whatever. Um, or like if you're going to use generic characters, why not use existing Nintendo characters that you don't see very much? Like, why not? Give me Gino. Put
Yeah.
put put Gino put Gino in there. Can Gino golf? I'm sure. Um, so so yeah. Graphically, this game for sure does not look as good as Smash Brothers. I never thought it mattered. I never did. How about you?
Are you saying that it looked as good as Smash Brothers?
I'm saying it does not look as good as Smash Brothers, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's very rough around the edges, very triangle-y, but I will say at the same time, it's got a great immersion factor. Like, there's nothing better to me than playing a rainy day, like, golf, round of golf in this. Is just something about it where, like we said earlier in the podcast, going to another world. I just like being in this world and relaxing and having a relaxing round of golf. So
Yeah.
the look doesn't take away from that.
The mechanics are there. I think the mechanics of golf games have not changed too much between this and what we have now for modern golf games. I think it's just more simulated. I think it's more specific. This has a great balance of being a very nice golf sim, but also one that's easy enough to pick up as well. I think that's pretty common among most games we review on here. Game Boy Color version. I have to get to it now. Um, was Nintendo capitalizing on Pokemon at this time? Because I mean, JRPGs go well beyond that, but it had to be Pokemon, right? Like it's 1999. Pokemon is making all this money, and Nintendo's like, we gotta put, we gotta make some kind of RPG for Game Boy.
It's crazy you say
Mario
that
Golf.
because I never played the Game Boy version back in the day, but obviously to prepare for this podcast, I threw it on. And I have to say, my first thought when the first thing you see when you start a game is you're in a room very reminiscent of like where you choose your starter Pokemon. And you instead of three Pokemon, you have three different golfers there that you talk to and get advice from, and then you go start your first match. But right after you customize your character, it was very reminiscent of Pokemon. Just like there's nothing specific, it just reminded me of it. It had the overall feel of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think that has to be the reason why. This comes out in Japan, August 1999. Pokemon is as big as it's ever going to be at this point. It's completely taken over. So why does Nintendo they could have just taken Mario Golf N64, made a 2D version of it, been done with it. But instead, 3 months later, they come out with a completely different game. Not completely different, but pretty much. Um, and just adding RPG elements is something where it's like, I remember it being very, very different at the past. I remember thinking, this is like Pokemon because I'm playing it on my Game Boy. Um, and I played it a lot. I didn't play as much as the N64 version, but looking back, I'm just like, man, I wish they would have kept it going because sports RPGs is like the number one genre of genres I wish I would see more of. Um, and I don't see why we don't. So yes, and um, Mario Golf Game Boy Color is directly responsible for Golf Story. So I put in the notes here that I think Mario Golf deserves the Harvest Moon treatment. Harvest Moon was directly responsible for Stardew Valley, one of my favorite games of all time. Mario Golf is directly responsible for Golf Story, which is fantastic.
Um,
And I know you're a fan too, so hey.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually ranked this pretty high in my rankings. The Nintendo 64 version, I put it at number 16 on my list, which puts it above Jet Force Gemini. Just falls into the literal category of this is totally Nintendo therapy. This is a game I play for the therapeutic value of it and almost nothing more, especially now that I can rewind and just completely cheat at my round of golf. Like, I don't always play that way, but there are days where I just want to do it that way. So, yeah, I put that at number 16. And the Game Boy version, I didn't put much further down. That's at number 24, below Yoshi's Story and above Yoshi on the NES. Separating the two Yoshi games is Mario Golf.
Okay, another Mario game in the, I'll say, top 20. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. How many would that be for you? One, two, three,
it's just all
4,
Mario and
5, 6,
Zelda up
7,
there.
8, 9. I think you have 9 out of 20 that are Mario for your top 20. Okay, all right. So
Yeah, and
here we go.
15 of my top 16 are either Mario or Zelda. Oh no, 14 because of the Harvest Moon. Okay. But pretty much my entire top 15 is Mario and Zelda so far.
All right. Let's see if I can make anyone mad. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Where did I put? Oh no, I'm gonna have to control F this thing. Where did I put game? Okay. Game Boy Color Mario Golf. I put at number 13. Number 13 goes above Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it goes right below Majora's Mask, Minish Cap, some huge games. Um, I, I like Mario Golf Game Boy Color a lot. It's a game that I would easily go back to if I just had enough time or just wanted to play it. Okay, Mario Golf N64 I put at number 5, and this is the first time I've cracked the top 10 in quite a long time. So my top 5 would be Mario Brothers 3, Link to the Past, NES Mario Brothers, Link's Awakening, and then I would put Mario Golf. Number 6 is Ocarina of Time. And I I just want to say this. Zelda fans, I still have Link to the Past above that. I still have Link's Awakening above it. Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games ever. Um, yeah. Ocarina of Time is like, I don't know, it's like maybe my top 5 Zelda games, and it's still number 6 on my list. But yeah, I'm putting Mario Golf above that.
Okay, that as is your
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I've been embracing lately on the topic of Ocarina of Time. I've played through that game so many times at this point that whenever I see people asking for like an HD remake, I'm at the point where I'm like, well, to me, what they would have to do is do like almost a Final Fantasy VII remake version where they just completely rebuild it from the ground up, and just have like various things that remind you of the original. Because I mean, just giving it a facelift isn't enough for me at this point. I've traded the masks a million times. You know, I've done everything the exact way it is. So I don't know. That's just
That'd be
a mini
awesome.
rant.
That would be awesome. I would play it day one. If
Yeah,
they
for sure.
did if they did an Unreal Engine remake on it, I would play it immediately. And I would also be pumped knowing that you can't do a whole HD Ocarina of Time and not do a whole HD Majora's Mask. Like
True.
that would be illegal. Pretty sure.
Well, let's
I'm
find out
pretty
what
sure
we
that.
are playing next week for the spotlight. All right, up next week is another Game Boy game, Kirby's Dream Land 2. So, classic game everybody talks about. Might be getting a remake at some point because that remake of Dreamland certainly sold really well. So who knows? We'll get our opinions in before the remake drops, though. Tune in next week for that and more Nintendo talk and more Nintendo news and more Nintendo rumors. And remember that we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So we might have gotten something wrong. Let us know if we did. Email us at nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at Nintendo Therapy. Go on Reddit, search Nintendo Therapy. You'll find that subreddit. And if you want us somewhere else, just let us know. Anything else this week, Harrison?
No, have a good weekend, everybody.
Yes, have a great weekend and stay sane. Get your therapy in by playing video games. Goodbye.